Good morning and welcome to the D's, Chapter 4 from my book, The A to Z of Alcohol and Sobriety, Everything You Need to Know. And today I'm going to talk about headings such as dancing and dandelions, dry drunk, dopamine delusions. Lots of stuff to get through. So let's begin. Dancing. One of the best parts of my journey was when my sober buddy Lilo suggested a tune that we put a tea towel on our head and danced around the kitchen. Well, I took this literally, and it was amazing. I started dancing at the age of 2 and continued in lessons until 18. Dancing was my go-to. I felt free and alive, and I loved it. Music and dancing have been a big part of my life, until the vertigo and brain not working with the body stuff started. I cannot dance in the way that I used to, so I stopped. And I stopped listening to music. It was so lovely to do this again. I recognise that I still avoid this, so I'm going to stop writing now, put on some tunes, and have a jig around in my chair. Come join me if you want. Put on some tunes, turn up the volume and jig. Tea towel on the head is optional. Dancing around the subject. The elephant in the room. We see it, we don't want to confront it, we feel uneasy, we drink to ignore it and avoid it. But that elephant isn't going anywhere, it's still right there. And when we wake up the next day, the uneasiness builds. If we could just find the strength to confront it, but the fear of repercussions puts many of us off. All the negative responses of our past accumulated and built up in fear. The fear of hurt, rejection, invalidation. Sober me recognises the elephant in the room. I see it there large as life, and I no longer numb it. I feel it in my solar plexus. I take a deep breath. I hold it, and hold it, and hold it. See, we are all work in progress. Recognising what we need to work on is our strength. Rome was not built in a day, and we have a lifetime of foundations to unpick. Dandelions. This is one of my favourite parables, a traditional Sufi tale, often used in therapy groups. This is my take on it. There was a man, I'm going to call him Arthur, who loved his lawn. He wanted to have the greenest, most wonderful lawn in town. Arthur spent hours planting and watering and weeding it, and all his neighbours complimented him on it. But one day he found a few dandelions in it. He pulled them up, but a few days later they came back again. He sprayed them with weed killer the shopkeeper had recommended to him. This worked for a few days, but eventually the dandelions were back again. Arthur was not happy. He talked to his neighbours, who recommended a different type of grass, which was denser and more dandelion resistant. Arthur replaced his lawn at great expense and was happy for a while. But then the dandelions came back, and he became frustrated and angry. He started to blame others and got all his neighbours to replace their lawns with dandelion-resistant grass too. This still didn't work. Finally, he wrote to the Department of Agriculture for some expert guidance, and a few weeks later he had his response. After much discussion and debate, we have decided that the answer to your problem is simple. You must simply learn to love the dandelions. If we can learn to love all parts of ourselves and the world, even the parts that we see as unpleasant, then life itself will be easier, kinder, and full of love. Dash. Think about gravestones. On them is a little dedication and the date we were born and the date that we die. In between these dates is a dash. That dash is your life. Go live it. Death. Like many, I interpreted some Quitlit to mean that alcohol is the third leading cause of death in the world. During my own research, I have discovered that it is actually the third leading cause of preventable death in the USA. But the impact of alcohol on our health and life expectancy is still pretty scary, and you can see or hear more under statistics about that. The following is a list of the top 10 of causes of death worldwide, taken from the World Health Organization website, published in 2019. The top cause of death is heart disease caused by poor blood supply, and it's followed by stroke, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, which is on lung conditions causing breathing problems, lower respiratory infections such as pneumonia, neonatal conditions in the first 28 days of life, airway and lung cancers, Alzheimer's disease and other dementias, diarrheal diseases, diabetes and kidney disease, and alcohol can play a hand in all of these causes. Debt. Addiction of any kind often leaves us in debt. It will not go away or get better on its own, but many lenders will support us as long as we just talk to them. The longer we put it off, the worse it will get. There are also charities out there to help with debt management. In the UK, the one most creditors will ask if you are working with is Step Change. This is a free service, and they will help you with budget plans and even contact the lenders to set up a repayment plan. You do not need to pay for a debt management service or plan in the UK. Deceit. Towards the end of my drinking days, I would lie to purposely deceive others about how much I was drinking. I would lie about how many I'd had and about the time of day I'd started drinking. I'd drink wine out of a mug or put a drop of squash in it to change the colour. When I went to fill up glasses in company, I'd down some whilst I was out of sight, so everyone thought that I was drinking the same as them. But the biggest person I was deceiving was myself. Drinking is such hard work. Admitting we have a problem makes life so much easier. Dehydration. Our body needs water to keep us hydrated and functioning as we should. Alcohol is a diuretic which makes us pee lots and get rid of salt, water and nutrients that our body needs to stay healthy, hydrated and fully functioning. Excess loss of these leads to us becoming dehydrated, causing dry and inelastic skin, headaches, bad breath, heart and blood pressure problems, and just feeling generally poo. A bit like a hangover, really. Delirium tremens, the DTs, are a severe form of alcohol withdrawal, which approximately 5% of us will get when we stop drinking. This is another reason for seeking medical support, or at the very least reduce gradually our daily intake of alcohol before quitting completely. We are more likely to get DTs if we are drinking heavily and are in poor health. Let's face it, most of us are in poor health at the end of our drinking career. Poor sleep, poor nutrition and dehydration do not contribute to good health. Agitation, confusion, shaking, sweating, vomiting, hallucinations and seizures are all signs of severe alcohol withdrawal and can lead to vomit in the lungs and airway and death. For this very reasons, some of us will need a medical detox. Delusions. In westernised medical terms, these are firmly fixed thoughts in our mind which no amount of argument or reasoning can shift. We can get paranoid delusions and think that people are after us or spying on us. Not too difficult to believe these days, I know. Or that someone is trying to poison us. We can have delusions of poverty and think that we are useless and not worthy, or become grandiose and think we are rich or much grander than we are. She's got ideas above her station, that one. We can think that our heart is not there, or that we have no stomach, or that we have actually died and are living in a twilight zone. Does any of this sound familiar? We are all prone to these types of thoughts at times, but can often argue the case and rationalise that they are not true or real. When we cannot, and neither can others convince us, then this is a delusion. Unless you have a smartphone, tablet or computer, of course. Dementia is due to our brain cells dying, causing problems with memory, mood, thinking, and eventually physical functioning. There are many different types, including Alzheimer's, Korsakoff's, and Lewy body. Alcohol can directly and indirectly cause death of the brain cells, memory problems, and dementia. Dependency. Is alcohol the key focus in your life? You might initially respond with a resounding no, but just think about it for a minute. If someone suggests a day out at the dinosaur park with kids, is your first thought, can I get alcohol there? Sadly, yes, you can. Do you research or take alcohol with you, just in case it's not available? If you're going on a picnic, do bottles or cans go in with the food? When you finish work, do you rush to the pub or home to open the bottle? Do you find it hard to stop drinking once you start? Do you have friendships that are based solely on drinking? This may sound familiar to lots of us, but these are the first signs of alcohol dependence. Continue and you will become fully dependent if you are not there already. I knew I had to stop when I woke at the cursed 3 a.m. and got up for a cup of tea and found wine in the fridge. I couldn't possibly throw it out. Following this, I had one final binge, but it was so bad that I came away with the final signs of dependency: sweating, shaking, and nausea. Oh, and a terrible pain in my stomach and beneath my right ribs. Liver pain. The only time we get liver pain is when it is that swollen that it presses on other areas of our body. That really did kick my arse into shape. Depression. This is so much more than low mood. If we have a persistent low mood for more than 2 weeks with loss of interest, motivation, appetite, and disturbed sleep, then we are likely to have a clinical depression and will need to seek medical help. Although this does depend on our situation. If we've just lost a loved one, for example, then it's quite normal to feel this way. Depression is thought to be due to low serotonin levels in the brain, and antidepressants could possibly help with this, but so can CBT, talking therapy, sunlight, exercise, activity scheduling, and quitting drinking. Deserving. Alcohol robs us of our self-esteem, our self-worth, and our being. If not the alcohol directly, then from the remorse, guilt, deceit, and isolation. We beat ourselves up on a regular basis to a point that we feel we do not even deserve to be alive, but we deserve the same as everyone else. We are not less, we are not more, and if we can allow ourselves to just be, then we will see that we are just as deserving as everyone else. You deserve to be alive, and you deserve to live. Not just in the heart beating, breathing sense, but to actually be alive and to live. Sobriety gives us that. We are all deserving. Alcohol and addiction are not. They are unjust. Destiny. What is our destiny? Is it pre-planned? Or do we make it up as we go along? Personally, I think it's a bit of both, that we have a blueprint with turns along the way that we can choose to take or ignore. I would not wish addiction on anyone, but I'm pleased that alcohol got its hold on me in the same way that I am pleased and grateful for my mental and physical health experiences. They have made me who I am today. I've met so many wonderful people, learned so much, and hopefully helped others because of it all. Are you at a crossroads or a junction? Are there turns that you could take? Do you want to carry on the road of drinking and addiction, or turn off and find a brighter and happier and healthier path? I'm not going to lie, it's just as bumpy and winding at times, but we soon learn to ride and smooth the bumps rather than numbing them and pretending that they are not there. Detox. When we stop taking something our bodies become reliant on, then we go through a period of detoxification. This varies depending on how much we've been taking, genetics, and our health. Stopping drinking for some of us can be very dangerous as it can lead to seizures and death. I would always encourage everyone who's stopping alcohol to discuss this with their medical practitioner first. Some of us need a medical detox in hospital, whilst others can do this safely at home, either with or without medication. We are all different, and medical advice is always recommended. But I didn't practice what I preach, so I get it if you don't want to do this. If you are physically dependent on alcohol, that is, you need a drink to stop shaking and to be able to function each day, do not stop drinking dead. If you cannot talk to someone or access a medical detox, then reduce gradually the amount that you drink each day until you're at the stage where you can then stop. And you can read more in my book on reducing gradually or hear more later on. Diabetes is caused by lack of insulin in our body, leading to unstable amounts of sugars in our blood. Insulin is made in the pancreas and helps sugar enter our muscles for energy. Diabetes can be caused by damage and inflammation of our pancreas, pancreatic cancer, poor diet, obesity, and pregnancy. Treatments vary from changes in diet, tablets, and injecting insulin, depending on the type and the cause. Left untreated, this can be very dangerous and lead to coma and death. Small amounts of alcohol increase the sugars in our blood, and larger amounts decrease them, making diabetes unstable. Early signs of diabetes are an increase in thirst and peeing, tiredness, and unexplained weight loss. Disability. The inability of our body and mind to do as they should due to restriction. That's my definition anyway. That restriction could be anything. Physical injury, our thoughts, our mindset, illness, disease, restraints, chemicals, alcohol, and so on. Disconnection can be a good thing. What? After all I've been saying about connection? But sometimes we are so busy helping others with their life and sobriety that we forget to connect with ourselves. It is good to turn everything off, hunker down, and learn to be with ourselves every now and again. Too much connection can lead to one of my favourite pastimes, avoidance. I've lost count of the number of times I've got to my communities that I'm going to be absent for a while as I really need to focus on my book. I did do a 72-hour phone silence though, which was very enlightening, and you can listen to my experience on my YouTube, 72 hours without a phone or internet, and I'll connect the link here. Disease. Something that stops our body or parts of it working in the way that we expect. I hesitate to use the word normal, as we are all different. But when it comes to medical expectations, there are general guidelines. The body is expected to do what it is designed to do. Now for the crunch. Is alcohol addiction or disease? Many believe it to be so. We know it causes disease, illness, and disability, but is it a disease in itself? Does it really matter? Some feel that referring to it as disease equals being unaccountable and creates an "it's not my fault" mentality. But whether you are addicted, disabled, or have a disease, we all have something to bring to the table. There is always something for us to be accountable and responsible for, even if it's just changing our mindset, which actually is a huge thing. Disorder. How confusing. Let's throw it all up in the air. That's basically disorder, anything that interrupts the general running of things. And when alcohol is involved, we can probably add a little bit of chaos in there as well. When we think of mental health issues and brain disorders, we think of disruptions in our thinking, mood, behaviour, perceptions, interactions, emotions, and actions. There's a reason that it is called drunk and disorderly. Distraction. I used alcohol for this for way too long, to numb and distract from physical and emotional pain, boredom, and loneliness. What is it, or what was it, distracting you from? If you're just starting out, then it's important to identify this so you can be prepared. Listening to a podcast, I heard something along the lines of addiction is always there in the corner, doing its press ups and getting ready to flex its muscles. You've got to be ready. And this is so true. Once we quit, we need activities to distract us from our addict voice. So armour up. Exercise, meditation, eating. Oh boy, did I eat. Get healthy snacks in. Writing, reading, posting, and reading out. Reaching out. Connecting, playing it forwards. Hobbies, anything you can do to get through until you get to the stage where you can simply just laugh and tell it to F right off. Done. I've often heard people refer to those with a year's sobriety or more as done, but I'm going to tell you loud and clear, we are never done. We have to work it every day, but don't panic. Just think of all the work you put into drinking. When can I get away with my first drink? Can I rush through this last bit of work to get home early? If we go there, can I get alcohol? I better check. If not, I'll need to buy some and sneak it in. What am I going to say or do if I get caught? And on and on and on. If we put as much effort into our sobriety as we do our drinking, then we are on to a winner. It does get easier. We get to a point where we are thinking about sobriety every day instead of drinking. And with change, we develop and grow our emotions, attitude, reactions, memories, and feelings. I've rewritten many headings as I have physically, spiritually, and emotionally evolved, and I suspect that I could keep on updating until the end of my days, but there has to be a cut-off and publishing point. Dopamine is a reward chemical in our brain that gets a hit and increases when we drink alcohol and caffeine, take drugs, have sex, and eat chocolate, to name but a few. It gives us a thrill and a buzz, and then our dopamine drops, hard and fast, to a level lower than it originally was. That's why the aftermath is referred to as the come down. When we stop alcohol, our brain still wants that hit, and this is where cross addiction can kick in. And you can hear more about cross addiction under the seas. Dragonflies. I looked up the meaning when I bought my 9-month dragonfly charm. Change and transformation, flexibility, courage, and living in the here and now. Perfect little summary of the tools that got me to that milestone and onwards. Drama triangles occur when people react to a situation in these 3 roles. Rescuer, who wants to save everyone and everything. Persecutor, who purposefully annoys and attacks others. The victim, whom the persecutor is attacking. The roles can change as the situation goes on and can lead to despair and upset for everyone involved. If one of us can step outside of the triangle and not get hooked in, the situation will settle and not spiral out of control. You might find it helpful to just recognise this to help you resolve any ongoing feelings or difficulties that you are having. Dreams. Hold on to your Zeds, because the dreams ramp up big time when we stop drinking. We can wake up with sweats, palpitations, feeling anxious, and holding on to every moment of our dream. This is because the amygdala, our fire alarm, is very active during sleep. Take a deep breath and focus on the now, but deal with any issues raised and know that these will settle in time. Dreams help us process our thoughts, feelings, trauma, and situations without the logic of daytime awareness. They go with the flow. They help us clear memories, keep important ones, and make way for new ones. Our dreams can be our very own therapist and also get our creative juices flowing. I expect you can think of a few movies or books that probably came from the author's dreams. Drink Aware is a great website in the UK with information, advice and support. I used the phone app with a day counter for a couple of years, along with a drink measuring cup they supply. You can also set an alarm on the app to alert you when you are getting near a trigger pub. I did use this, but often still went in. It did help me to moderate and give up for weeks at a time, and a combination of this and the I Am Sober community helped me realise that I just cannot moderate long term. I'm an all or nothing kind of girl. Drinking is hard work when the addiction takes hold. Yes, it's fun at first. I'm not going to deny that. Drinking can be fun. We've all had some great night out with friends. It boosts our confidence, makes us see the funny side of things, and makes us laugh harder and longer until our sides hurt. But it also causes some very messy nights. Have you ever injured yourself when you've been drinking? How many fights are caused by alcohol? How many suicides? Eventually, drinking can become a lonely, sad, and isolated habit where all the fun has gone from every aspect of our life. This is something I wrote on my WordPress blog 10 months before I quit. So my whole blog is around living positively with fibromyalgia, but I have slumped and felt it equally important to share. For the last 10 days, I've got up but not gone out. I've done some of my daily maintenance plan, but not all. Today I went out with my relator for a stroll. Motivation? To buy brandy. The worst thing for fibro. My alcohol consumption has been going up, and today on my walk I asked myself why. Is it because I feel I am dying inside? I'm once again trying to numb, or maybe speed along the process. I even dreamt last night about all my physical tests being fine, apart from my liver levels. A physical answer to a physical cause. I don't think I could ever take an assertive act to end my life now, but I am not belittling those that do. But maybe I could just take a slow way out. Have I not been doing that subtly for 20 years anyway? I feel selfish for saying this, especially when people are out there dying and they don't want to. But aren't we all dying slowly anyway? Thankfully, I no longer recognise that person. Driving. Ever driven with a fear of getting pulled over, knowing that you're over the legal limit, but you just have to get to where you're going? Knowing but not really caring that you are not fit to drive because you are too drunk to worry? I'm horrified when I think back to my selfishness, the risk to others, and leaving Jack without a mum, which was another of my fears. I had to stay alive until Jack could look after himself. The anxiety of this was another thing that fueled my blocking and numbing, and I could have died. Crazy, huh? It is so wonderful now being able to get in my car at any time without stress or fear and not living with regret. I cannot change the past. I do not dwell on it. I did wrong. I've thought about it whilst typing this section, but now I have to let it go. In 2019, in the UK alone, at least 7,800 people were killed or injured on the roads, whereby one or more drivers had over the legal drink drive limit of blood alcohol. Drunk. Why do we get drunk? I don't mean why do we do it to ourselves time and time again. I mean, why does our body react in the way that it does? And why does the same amount of alcohol make us drunk sometimes and not others? Alcohol can dissolve in water, and therefore some of it enters our bloodstream directly from our bowel without even seeing our liver. It is taken straight to our brain, where it slows everything down, leading to stumbling, slurring, and memory loss. Drinking on an empty stomach really does make alcohol go to our head much quicker than if we have eaten. It can also depend on how hydrated we are, so drinking lots of water can also slow down the effects of alcohol. Dry drunk. I heard this term a lot when I first started out, but it took me a while to figure out its meaning. Basically, it means quitting the booze, but not working on our recovery. When we do this, we continue to feel as though we are missing out, leading to misery and pain. When we work it, read, write, listen and connect, recognise and work through our emotions, learn the truth about alcohol and get the right support, our journey is far less painful. D vitamin is great for calcium and helps our teeth, bones and muscles. Our biggest source is through sunlight, and we need at least 30 minutes of unfiltered sun a day on our skin. But remember to put your sun cream on after this. It's reported that 50% of people in the UK are lacking in vitamin D during the winter months, as the sun doesn't give off enough UVB rays for our bodies to make it. But I like to remember that the sun is always there, and every little bit helps. Lack of vitamin D can lead to joint pain, bone thinning, and deformities such as rickets. It is added to foods such as cereals and is naturally occurring in oily fish, meat, and eggs. The daily recommended dose is 600 milligrams, and I would not advise you take more than this, as too much can lead to overdose and nausea, vomiting, leg cramps, dry mouth, weight loss, thirst, and diarrhea. Dysfunctional. What is dysfunctional? Society has a way of telling us what should and shouldn't be, but we are who we are. Try not to view this to where you are in relation to the world and its inhabitants. You are you, and you function in the way that you do. Anything that interferes with the way you usually function is dysfunctional. I think we can give alcohol a great big tick on this one. I'll be back again soon with the E's. Ta-ta for now.